Sawaka Sangho Tamayang Bhagavantang Sadamang Sasangang Imehi Sakarehi Atarahang Aropite Hi Abhipujayama Sadhuno Bante Bhagava Suchira Parinipotopi Pachima Janata Nukampa Manasa Ime Sakare Dukata Panakala Bhute Patikan Hatu Amhakang Dikharatang Hitaya Sukhaya Alahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purissa Dhamma Sarati Sata Deva Manu Sanang Buddha Bhagava Tamahang Bhagavantang Abhipujayami Tamahang Bhagavantang Sirasa Namami Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditabo Vinyuhi Tamahang Dhammang Abhipujayami Tamahang Dhammang Sirasa Namami Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ujjupatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yaya Patipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samichi Patipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yatitang Chatari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Pukala Esa Bhagavato Sawaka Sakasango Ahuneo Pahuneo Dakineo Angelica Ranio Anuttarang Punya Ketang Lokasa Tamahang Sangang Abhipujayami Tamahang Sangang Sirasanamami. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, not busy with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother with her life, her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to false views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now we have some questions for today. Oh, boy. Okay. You're leaving? No. Bye-bye. Get a better view. Okie dokie. But it's exciting, isn't it? Don't know which question's coming up today. The first question is, it is often written that deep meditation is not a goal in itself, but rather the insights it brings. Could you please share your thoughts on this? It's going to hospital doesn't cure sicknesses. You've got to go to hospital first, and then when you're inside, they cure the sicknesses. So to get the deep meditations, they're important, essential to be able to get the deep insights which it brings. Without it, you get shallow insights. So it is true that even in the deep meditations, the deep stillnesses of jhana, in those deep stillnesses, you cannot become enlightened. You cannot get any insights while you're in the jhanas. When you come out afterwards, whoa, many insights come. This is where, number one, you get the data, different ideas, different perceptions, different experiences. Just like that simile I already gave of the tadpole and the frog. Once the tadpole becomes a frog and is out of the water, number one, there you get the data of what it's like to be really mindful, really conscious, more aware than you've ever been before, but not with the five senses of the body, but with the sixth sense of the mind, just purified. That is one of the reasons why the Buddha always said the eighth factor, the eightfold path, is the four deep meditations, the four jhanas. Always said that. Again and 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 again. Which is why it is often written that deep meditation is not a goal, but it's essential for the goal. Without it, first of all, you don't have the data. The tadpole can never understand what water is. But also the power which you get from those deep meditations, the energy, the clarity. And I always said already that a few people already, the food's beginning to taste more delicious than it should. Simply because your mindfulness is increasing. And sometimes, like toast. Toast is ordinary, there's nothing special about that. But you have a deep meditation and you have your toast in the morning. Oh, sorry, I make a mistake there. I shouldn't talk about food in the evening talk. I do apologize. But anyway, I started anyway. But it tastes more delicious than usual. And sometimes you come on these retreats and you always go, wow, the food in these retreats is so delicious. It's nothing to do with the cook. Everything to do with your meditation. The fact your mind, your senses are just cleared. That is said very clearly in the Nalakapana Sutta. That's when only after the jhanas are your five hindrances, and that's what stops wisdom arising. Only then are they cleared for long periods of time. You get those opportunities, not to see what you want to see, but to see what's truly there. And the simile, remember I gave the simile the other day. It's okay, you don't have to get up, Dorothy, you can sit down. With the water, once it's still, this is an old Buddhist simile. Once it's really still, because when I was in Korea doing that day's meditation retreat to the demilitarized zone, one of the senior Jogje order Korean monks, he said that same simile. He said, when a lake in the mountains. It's got no waves or ripples on it. When it's perfectly still, then you see an accurate reflection of the moon and the stars in the heavens above. But if there's any disturbance on that lake, even small waves, it distorts the image. And what you see is not a true reflection of what's up there. Because it's not a clear reflection. It's distorted by the undulations on the surface of that water. And that is why, this is as I said many times again in the suttas, it's samadhi pachaya yata bhuti yana dasana. And it means, because all of the nuns here, you know your Pali, you just wrote to us because, oh no, it's actually the nuns in Newbury, they needed a new Pali teacher. But you all know your Pali, that samadhi means stillness, pachaya is the cause for yata bhuti yana dasana, seeing things as they truly are. And that's said so often, and it's amazing, it's a stillness which gives rise to wisdom. Stillness isn't the wisdom, it gives some data, but it gives rise, gives the power. So you can really see a lot of not crazy insights, liberating insights. So that's deep meditation, not a goal in itself, but it leads to the goal. That's why it's called the path to liberation. And any of you who ever study the suttas, you know, there's a book, and like not a series of suttas. It's one of the last books in the Sutta Nikaya, not the last one but one, called the Anguttara Nikaya. And that is all of these suttas, the ones, the twos, the threes, so anything which is to do with three, you find the suttas in there. Anything to do with four, like Four Noble Truths and stuff, and Four Satipatthanas, you see it in the fours. And so when I first read that, now I got to the eights, I thought, oh, here you'll find the Eightfold Path in the eights. Makes a lot of sense. It's not there at all. I thought, what's wrong with this? One of the most important parts of Buddhist teachings, the Eightfold Path, and it's not in the eights. It's in the tens. Because the eight is the path, and the 9 and 10, insight, liberation, that is actually what happens if you follow that path. That becomes the goals of the path, and the Eightfold Path is the means, the way. So the path is the way, and the goals, number 9 and 10, liberation and knowledge of liberation. You get that? No. One day. Anyway. Dear Ajahn, can you introduce the nuns? How long have they become nuns and why? Well, I can't say that, but you can. So, senior nun, please introduce yourself. What's your name?
My name is Pasada.
Pasada. And what does that mean? She who must be obeyed? Sorry for missing that. Pasada is like faith and joy. It's a combination of those two. Okay, why do you become a nun? Nothing much else to do in life? Wanted to, yeah. It's so many people that would love to actually to try out monastic life. And for such a long time, you weren't allowed to. There was no nuns' monasteries. They said that you can't ordain nuns, bhikkhunis. And in my early life, that was the case. And there was something very wrong about that, as you know. You got these incredibly beautiful, smart, good meditating, inspiring nuns. But, there was no possibility for that to happen some years ago. And so, what was it, 11 years, 12 years ago now? We did the bhikkhuni ordinations. Yeah, I've been Dhammsara, yeah. About 12 years now, isn't it? Yeah, coming up to 12 years. Yeah, 11, 12 years by that time. So it's amazing. We have fully ordained bhikkhunis with a monastery in which they can stay. So it's now, if a woman says she wants to ordain as a bhikkhuni, she wants to live the monastic life, it's now possible. Yay! And I must admit, be quite honest with you, that's one of the most wonderful things I've done in my monastic life so far. Just make that possible for everybody. Of course, that's not the end of the matter. You've got to practice and build up the monastery and get the nice sense of ladies all feel welcome there. And they can practice according to their own ways. And that takes a while for all these monasteries to develop in their beautiful kindness. So how long have you been fully ordained bhikkhuni?
I'm 9
9 Vasa already, wow. So next year you'll be a Terry. Oh, this Vasa, yeah. Yeah, so Terry means like an elder. Do you feel old enough to be an elder? We're getting old. What do the other ones say? So that's the first one. The second one?
I'm Pasana.
What?
Pasana.
Pasana. Pasada and Pasana.
Yeah, same.
Sisters. And? Why did you become a nun?
It makes sense. Why wouldn't you want to become a nun?
So you're rebellious, doing things which don't make sense. No, sometimes, again, it's a beautiful lifestyle. To be able to serve and also to practice. Good thing to do. Okay, I think I'll introduce the other two tomorrow. So you can actually get your CV and you're all ready. Prepare it in time. Okay. Do you like the nuns?
Yes.
Should we throw them out? No, good. No, it's wonderful having nuns. Excellent. It is said there are 2 types of meditation, insight, and I can't remember the other. That's a nice question. The insight and calm. In your book, you say they are the same. I find mantras distracting. Can I just follow the breath, which seems to work for me? Yes. Can you talk about how the 2 types are the same? Yes. Honestly, that sometimes when I teach meditation, you've heard me teach meditation, sometimes I teach just like relax and the max meditation. And then after a while, I teach breath meditation. And after breath, I can't do breath meditation because sometimes people have difficulty with their meditation, so we try something different. I try Anapanasati meditation. And if I find Anapanasati meditation difficult, then I teach insight meditation. If I can't do insight, I teach Vipassana meditation. If I can't do Vipassana meditation, I teach metta meditation. If I can't do metta meditation, I teach loving kindness meditation. If I can't do loving kindness, I teach letting go meditation. If I can't do letting go meditation, they realize actually that's what they started off with. And these meditations actually are all the same. I think, was it in the interviews or was it in the questions when I gave one of the Buddha's similes of the emperor sending his son to learn how to run a small kingdom on the edge of the empire. That was in the interviews. This is actually, it's in the sutras, it's fully explained in the commentaries, but it's mentioned by the Buddha actually to show how samatha and vipassana work together. The calm and insight. And this was where the king, the emperor, had a son, and the son was going to be in line to take over the empire when the emperor died, because in those days that's how things worked. And so he had to sort of try and find a way to teach the son how to rule. So he decided to send the son off to a remote province in the empire and give him full power so he could learn by trial and error, make mistakes in a small place, so he could learn exactly how to rule. So he went up there, and this was the first time the son was away from home. So he didn't really do much government. He had lots of parties and celebrations and enjoyed himself. And of course, after a while, the headmen of that area, they sent a message to the emperor, look, your son, he's a nice fellow, but he's not doing any work. He's just playing around all the time. So the emperor sent one of his wisest ministers to go and talk to the son. He can have some fun and games, as everyone has some joy in their life, but, to do some work, rule this small kingdom. So when the wise minister got there, the prince said, look, I don't care where you come from, this is my little province, go away, go back home. He wouldn't listen to the wise minister. So when the wise minister went to the center of the emperor and reported to the emperor said, oh, this was my big mistake. I shouldn't have just sent the wise minister. I'll send the wise minister and a very fierce, battle-worn general from the army. So the two of them went there, the general and the wise minister. And when the wise minister returned to this little province on the outskirts of the empire, and he said, I'm back again. And the prince said, look, I told you, get out of here. I'm not listening to you. This is my place. And then the general just took out his sword, grabbed the prince by the hair, put the sword to the throat. He said, you better listen to this minister. He said, I'm listening, I'm listening. And the Buddha told that story. The wise emperor is insight, and the general is samatha, is calm. You need calm to hold your mind long enough to be able to listen to insight, so it actually works. The two have to work together. As for me, you're always, trying to make more similes up. And so my simile is, and it does actually change over the years, these similes. You add a little bit extra here, take a bit off somewhere else. This was the couple who were really good meditators. Sam, and his surname was Atta, Sam Atta, and his partner, Vai, surname Pasana. So Sam Atta and Vai Pasana, just one afternoon, they decided to go on a walk up Meditation Mountain. And they had two dogs. The two dogs, one dog was called Metta, and the other dog was called Anapanasati. And then when you go for walks, you take your pets with you. So Sam and Vai and the two dogs went up a walk on Meditation Mountain. And Sam, he had a goal that he liked the peace and the quiet up on top of Meditation Mountain. It was so still there. And he really enjoyed that stillness. As for Vai, she took her big camera with her. She wanted to take some snaps of the incredible views there over the whole territory of that place they lived in. She wanted to take these photos, these snaps. And as for Metta the dog, why do dogs do things? They do it for the fun of it. And so anyway, they got halfway up Meditation Mountain, even halfway up. Oh, it was so peaceful, even halfway up. So Sam was really enjoying the peace, the silence there. And again, halfway up, there was lots and lots of incredible views. So Vai was taking lots of insight snaps. And Metta, the dog, what was Metta the dog doing? Just wagging her tail. Even halfway up Meditation Mountain. It was so much fun and joy and love up there. But the interesting thing with Anapana, the dog, that means breath, breath was actually vanishing. They could hardly see her. And when they got to the top of Meditation Mountain, wow, that was so peaceful up there. Real deep stillness, like nothing moved. So Sam, he just almost fulfilled his goal. Just beautiful up there. But Sam had a pair of eyes too. He could also appreciate the incredible view and also the love up there. As for Vai, when she got up there, wow, you could really see incredible views up there. And so she took all these amazing, accurate, true insight snaps. But she could also appreciate the stillness there. So when she did the click, it was almost inaudible, the clicks, when she'd take the photos. And as for Meta the dog was actually wagging her tail as if it was going to fall off, but was also appreciating the silence, and also could see the incredible views up there. Because on top of Meditation Mountain, the stillness, the insight, and the one thing that many people leave out, the loving kindness, the metta, is incredibly strong. It's not just samatha and vipassana. Add a bit of metta in there as well. Because all three are very powerful up on top of Meditation Mountain. And that's for the breath. The breath has disappeared halfway down the mountain. You pick it up as you go back down again. And that's one of the reasons why the sign of insight, if you really have got good insight, is you can be peaceful. You can be still. So wisdom supplies the ability to be still. And when you're still, that supplies the power of your insight. And the two together really give you the meaning of what loving kindness truly is. You know, a few people in the interviews have said this, and it's a very, very insightful understanding to know that many, many people don't really understand what loving kindness is. We try and spread loving kindness. May all beings be happy and well. May all beings be free of suffering. We think we know, but then sometimes we haven't really exercised its power immensely. And when you can exercise its power immensely, wow. This is a little story. I always go on these stories. That this is Buddhist story. That once the Buddha's cousin Devadatta and the new king Ajatasattu wanted to get rid of the Buddha. So what they did, they had this story of they gave alcohol to this elephant called Nalagiri, this huge elephant. And once the elephant was drunk and was crazy, didn't know what he was doing, they set the elephant on these narrow streets. If ever you've been to like Europe, you see the streets there are just so small. They're just not made for cars or trucks, lorries. They're made for just like horses or little, in India, for little elephants. And so they're very narrow, and the Buddha was walking with his monks on arms round down one of these streets. And they let the elephant off in the opposite direction. So the elephant was charging down this narrow street, and the Buddha was walking in the opposite direction, on arms round with his monks. And the people were fleeing away and saying, "Get out the way. There's a mad elephant charging in your direction, smashing this and stomping on that. You're going to get killed." But all the monks jumped over the walls, fled, hid, except for the Buddha and one monk, Ananda, his faithful attendant. If you know the story of the Buddha, Ananda would do anything for his teacher, the Buddha. And he stood in front of the Buddha, "Let the elephant kill me. I'll sacrifice my life for my teacher." I often ask, even the nuns here, I've been teaching you, would you do that for me? Please take me. But anyway, the Buddha pushed Ananda aside. He said, "Oh, okay, I can look after myself. So you just get out of the way, Ananda." And so the Buddha was facing this elephant, this charging, mad, crazy, huge elephants. When they are mad and crazy like that, they're so powerful. It can swat you and you just get squashed or killed. And so the Buddha was facing the elephant. What would the Buddha do to protect himself? Just the Buddha and the elephant coming closer and closer and closer. And I often say, and they got stories of this in the sutras, that some of these monks do have psychic powers, and this was the Buddha. The Buddha very easily, if he wanted to grab him by the trunk, this mad elephant, before the elephant knew what was going on, twirl him 3 times around his head and throw him over the Ganges River 200 kilometers away. That'd be easy for the Buddha. But would a compassionate being use violence? What the Buddha would have done, and I'm making this up, but I think it's probably pretty accurate. What the Buddha would have done was to look at Nalagiri, who was mad and crazy because of alcohol. Nothing, no personal failings. He'd just been fed this stuff which was making him mad and wild. The Buddha would have said, Nalagiri, if you do pick me up with your trunk and throw me against a wall, if you stomp with your really heavy feet on top of me, if you injure or kill me, the door of my heart will always be open to you, no matter what you do to me. Something like that, this amazing loving kindness. And I forgive you before you even do that. Whatever you wish to do, Nalagiri, I love and care for you. And according to this story, I made that up, but it was with loving kindness. That's how I explain loving kindness. The Nalagiri just stopped and bowed his head. And the Buddha stroked it. There, Nalagiri, there, Nalagiri. And that was the end of the confrontation. It wasn't one with violence. It was one with loving kindness. And that was encouraging it was illustrating what loving kindness really is. The door of my heart is always open to you, no matter what you do to me. And that meant it's irresistible. Nalagiri just stopped. It goes right into the heart. Nalagiri was not afraid. The Buddha wasn't challenging him. Just do what you need to do. Let it go. Then you get some better understanding of what loving kindness is. And again, that's helped me by learning how to open the door of my heart to whatever's going on in my mind. So you have an attack of all the hindrances. Every one of the 5 hindrances, and some the Buddha never even described, new hindrances, all coming charging at you in your meditation. What do? The door of my heart's open to you, hindrances. Come in, you can squash me, crush me, send me crazy, send me to the local mental institution. I'll always love you, hindrances. Hindrances can't take that. They're all bow down behind you and you stroke them. There you go, hindrances. There you go, greed, hatred, delusion and stuff. There you are. I don't hate you. You're fine. I call that the Nalagiri strategy. That was this elephant's name. And you learn the power of loving kindness. When you really do it, whoa, you can see everything relax, open up, and amazing things happen. So that's how the loving kindness works. Okay. But when you really find out how these things work, they really blow your mind. Okay. How to deal with jealousy, Megha Metta. I said this when I was in Singapore, that people got very jealous that some people got promoted and other people didn't. And they're very jealous of those who got the promotion in their business. I said, you're really stupid. Look, if you keep on complaining to me, you're just really working so hard, you've got no free time, you're stressed out, and you want to be promoted and get more stress? There's more money, but look at the money in a different way. However much you get given, it's never enough. So it's better to have the not enough you're receiving now from your company and less stress than the more, but still not enough, and huge amounts of stress if you get promotion. So if someone is stupid enough to want the promotion, oh, you please, go for it. Looking at the meaning of life and work in a different way. Be more stress-free. What are you just, and success in life? Do you really want to be successful? Being successful, you're jealous because other people are successful, and you're not. You know, there's a lot of, I told this to many of the monks, and maybe the nuns could know this as well, that if you're good at something, don't let the senior nuns know. Otherwise they'll give you that job and you have to really work hard. So people always think that when you're at the top, it's really, really wonderful. It's not. So it's nice to disappear. Sometimes, I can still do that sometimes, to disappear. I remember this time that when I go traveling overseas, there's a lot of people know, I'm quite well known overseas, but every now and again, you go to these conferences. When you go to conferences, then there's so many other monks and nuns and famous teachers there, so you can actually disappear. And I remember in this conference in Vietnam years ago, that I did my presentation, my talk, and then somebody else was giving a talk I thought was interesting, so I went there and sat in the back. You don't sit in the front, because that's giving the game away. Sat in the back. And this Vietnamese monk came and sat next to me. The Vietnamese monk, he obviously saw I was Western. He wanted to practice his English. If you ever go to those countries, you sit next to a Westerner, and then they can get some practice of their English and get on in their life. So this monk sat next to me. Where are you from? And I said, I am from Australia. He said, oh, Australia. And then the next sentence, he said, do you know a famous monk called Ajahn Brahm? What I said, this is true, this happened. And this as it happened. I said, yes, I know him very well. And then I said, actually, I am Ajahn Brahm. And the poor monk, he did that. He put his arms up. So if you're really too famous, you can't sit in the back. You can't have fun anymore. So anyway, who are you jealous of? If somebody is really doing well in their life and having lots of happiness and joy and success, instead of jealousy in Buddhism, we have this other thing we exchange it with called mudita, where we rejoice in other people's success. Yeah, you've done something wonderful. Well done, you've won the election, you've got the promotion. Yay, well done. So mudita is a free form of happiness. You're celebrating other people's great achievements in life. You don't have to do anything. You can be lazy and stupid. Somebody else gets enlightened, in this retreat. And then you think, yay, another enlightened being in this world, yay, and you get so much joy and happiness, and that makes it easier for you to get enlightened. But if you think, her, she got enlightened, she's hardly ever sits here. This is really unfair. This is my 20th retreat I've been here. Why her? This is no good. Which one would you rather have? The jealousy or the celebrating other people's success? When you put it like that, it's obvious. Celebrating other people's success. So you don't have jealousy. Instead, you have this beautiful, wow, well done. Today, somebody actually, they achieved their 62nd birthday. Where are you? Somebody's birthday today. Can't see. Oh, there, at the back. So, okay, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. That's much better than having a bit of joy than saying, we shouldn't be celebrating birthdays in Buddhism. This is a retreat. We're supposed to be serious. Which one would you rather have? Or have the joy, the happiness? Somebody's birthday today. So the jealousy is, to me, makes absolutely no sense at all. Instead, we have the celebration. Somebody's got the promotion. Somebody's become enlightened. Somebody's won the lottery, not you. Yeah, wonderful. May you really enjoy it. So that's the remedy to jealousy, to celebrate other people's success. Free happiness. Oh, actually, yeah, this question. What do you do when someone has a birthday? Embarrass her? Especially someone who's been so generous in organising dana for Jhana Grove Retreat over the years. Those of you who don't know, where does the food come from the last 2 days? Do you pay for the food? Where does it come from? You have all these, and you see the next few days as well, all these amazing donors. Then they take the day off work, or they come with their friends, and they come and cook for you and feed you. No price involved, because how much does that food cost? It's priceless. It's gifts of dana. And I'm really very proud that everybody does this. They organise, make sure there's food for all the people who come to Jhana Grove on their retreats every day. And then they come and do a retreat and people feed them. It's much better than having, they do a few bit of cooking in the kitchen sometimes, but most of it is just this dana which is brought here. And it may be not exactly what you like, but it's given with so much love, kindness. It's a gift. And that's one of the reasons why it's always really impressive that people do this stuff in the world, expecting no money back, no praise back. They just give it for the joy of giving. That's one of the beautiful parts of Jhana Grove. For, I think, 11, 12 years it's been going, that all the food which comes here, it all comes from your lay friends community, and all just given with so much joy and happiness for each one of you. You think, oh, if it's for the nuns or the monks, okay, but not for me. No, it's for you. And whoa, that's really nice. Okay. Ajahn, where do you watch the breath? Wherever the breath happens to be. So if your breath is going out through your right big toe, that is where you'd watch your breath. Sometimes, I must admit, I do play around, my character, and sometimes when you get reasonably deep in your meditation, and you're still watching your breath, you can actually almost visualize your breath coming out of your left big toe. You can create that perception if you really want to. And I've messed around with that before. It's good fun. You're watching your breath. Well, that's what it appears like. It's just a concoction of the mind. But it's fun to be able to do that. It's the same way of sometimes, to make meditation on the breath really interesting, teaching it, I developed the backwards breath meditation. Have you heard that one before, the backwards breath meditation? Unless you've been here before. It's very easy. And this is the backwards breath meditation. I will now demonstrate it for you. So now I want you to, when I say go, don't do it till I say go, to breathe in and out 3 times, and then after the 3rd breath, open your eyes. Is that clear? Okay, so go. After the 3rd breath, open your eyes. Now, if I had any money, which I don't, I could make a bet, and I'm sure I'd win it, that you started off with the in breath and then out breath, in, out, in, out. And after the 3rd out breath, you opened your eyes. That's ordinary breath meditation. Now, the backwards breath meditation, When I say go, I want you to start with the out breath. Out, in. Out, in. Out, in. And after the third in breath, then open your eyes. Okay, go. After the third in breath, open your eyes. And that is called backwards breath meditation. You start with the out breath, and surprise, surprise, it's different. It feels different. And you're much more aware as well, because it's slightly different, enough difference there to make it more interesting. So if you want to try backwards breath meditation, that's how it's done. Was that any good? Okay. Most were silent out of respect, so maybe it didn't work. Next question. So the real answer to that is wherever the breath happens to be. That's where you watch it. And after a while, you don't locate it anywhere. You know, for years, I told you that because I had hay fever, sometimes your nose is blocked, so you can't really watch it there. And so I forgot where to locate it. I just watched the breath. I knew it was going in, I knew it was going out, I didn't know where. And after a while, when my mind got very peaceful, I could still see the breath. I remember interrupting the breath meditation once and just say, where am I watching this? Where am I aware of it? I was aware of it for a long period of time. It was the tip of my nose. That's why I was aware of it. That's really interesting. That's what the book says. And I forgot where it was, then went just to watch the breath. Keep it simple. So it doesn't really matter where your breath is located, as long as you're aware of the breath. Dear Ajahn, sometimes it feels awful to be with my mind. I try to apply gentle and kindness to the feeling, but still feel awful. What do I do? Again, don't give kindness to your mind. Give kindness to the awful feeling. You know that sometimes that people like to look after people who've got deformities, or people who are injured, or people who just other people reject. And sometimes you look at like the awfulness, the awful feeling. So many people don't respect that feeling. They try to get rid of it. So you look upon that poor stigmatized awful feeling and just change your perception of it from being an enemy to being a friend. That's how you pick the kindness to it. And then the little simile, which I've given for so many times, of, please excuse the words, the dog shit. If you step in dog shit, what do? You never scrape it off your shoes. You always take it home with you. And when you take it home with you, then you dig it in your garden, under the mango tree, or apple tree if you prefer apples. And then 1 year later, that your apples will be sweeter and juicier than ever before. And you can imagine, oh, here we go, talking about food again in the evening, double apology. That when you bite into that mango, and it's just so sweet and juicy. Oh, it's absolutely delicious. And it juice runs down your cheek. Have you ever done that? I've done that many times. And then it's so delicious. But you always have to remember what you're really eating. You're eating dog shit. It is. That's what made it. You put lots of that in the ground, and that's become a nice, juicy, sweet mango. And the same with the awful feeling in the mind. If you know how to make use of it, you welcome it. It's there to teach you. Where this came from was a good old Ajahn Chah, that when we were in Thailand, there's so many mosquitoes, I mean, really lots of them. And there was no mosquito repellent, no mosquito nets, no mosquito coverings on the windows, mosquito screens. So one day, we were just really tortured by these mosquitoes. So I went to see Ajahn Chah, can we have something to protect us from these mosquitoes? And Ajahn Chah responded, no. But he said, from now on, you look at those mosquitoes and call them your teacher. Call them Ajahn Mosquito. It was really so innovative, but it wasn't the answer we wanted. We wanted something to stop them biting. He says, no, they're your teachers. And it was just, so wise. It's a tough teaching, but it was really true. And those feelings of irritation, you learn so much from them. You know, one of the things, I told this to someone today, one of the things I learned from Ajahn Mosquito while I was in Thailand was how to meditate. Because what happened was, again, Ajahn Chah, I don't know if he was sadistic or he was a great teacher. Sometimes I didn't really know. But it worked out well in the end, so it must be a great teacher. But we would have these meditation sessions out in the open air from, I think it was about 7 till 9 o'clock, 2-hour meditations in the jungle. It was in a real jungle, real rainforest. And there was a time, 7 to 9 is when mosquitoes come out to get dinner. And of course, you can actually cover up most of your skin. You've got your hair, you've got a bald head here, you've got bare arms. There's so many seats at the dinner table if you're a monk. And this was in Thailand. The same would happen in Sri Lanka or Burma. The mosquitoes, they've been bred for years to know they see a bald head and a brown robe, it's a safe dinner. So of course they'll come to you and they will be covering your arms, biting you. It was really hard to endure 2 hours. But then, that you saw the other monks, often you'd open your eyes, and I will often confess, if Ajahn Chah wasn't there, I'd have run away. But I was too sort of embarrassed to do that. So I had to find another way. So you started just relaxing your body, not worrying about the mosquitoes, and going inside, starting to watch your breath, delightful breath, until your body vanished, disappeared. You had to, because otherwise, if your body came back to your conscious attention, you feel all these mosquitoes on you. And so they actually taught me just how to meditate properly, just go inside. So you could meditate there, having a wonderful time. But the interesting thing, which I learned from Ajahn Mosquito, was that when I came out of meditation after a 2-hour sit, and then you looked at your arms, you know what happens when you get a mosquito bite? You get a little red bump. When you have hundreds of mosquitoes, you get all these bumps all over you. But when I came out of meditation, no bumps at all. And I really thought this was like a psychic power, some supernatural phenomena, that when you get in deep meditation, you get this like force field around you. The mosquitoes trying to get in, and they just can't get in. I used to, when I was a kid, get all these comics, Superman and Flash and Green Lantern. I remember those. Apparently they've got movies about them now. But anyway, I thought it was some supernatural power. But afterwards, I discovered, somebody showed me an article in Scientific American. It's nothing to do with supernatural powers. All it is that the mosquitoes are mostly attracted to the carbon dioxide coming out of the pores of your skin. So the more metabolism is strong, the more your heart is beating and you are producing more carbon dioxide, the more you're saying to mosquitoes, hey, I'm over here, come over here. The more you're worried about it, the more mosquitoes know where you are. But when you get very peaceful and the breath is almost disappearing, it's very, very light, and hardly any carbon dioxide coming out of the pores of your skin, mosquitoes can't find you. So they're buzzing around, but they don't know where to go. And that was actually the reason why, when you got some nice meditation, you had almost like a natural mosquito repellent. They just didn't know where you were. Well, that was really so cool. And that's actually why. these things teach you so much. So it feels awful to be with your mind. Stay with it for a little bit longer. Be kind to it. Be patient with the awful mind. Because the other simile which I sometimes give people is, you are going for a walk in the forest, you come across a seat, you sit down on the seat, but the seat is freezing cold. So what do? You sit down on it, you say every minute you're sitting on that seat, the warmer it gets. You're warming it up, and after a while it's a really comfortable seat. The longer you sit on it, the more comfortable and easy it gets. The same with your mind. The longer you stay with it, the more at ease you are with it. And the awful feeling just disappears just gradually, just with patience. If that doesn't work, then take a Panadol or an aspirin. But be kind anyway. Learn it slowly. You get, if it's an awful feeling in the mind, it's awful to be with my mind. I don't know why. After a while, what are you afraid of? It's your mind. That's, you're going to live with your mind eventually. So, you can't get away from your mind. After a while, you get to know it and understand it. You're kind to it. In earlier talks, years 2000, my goodness, you said to put mindfulness in the gap between the observer and the observed, and to give kindness and compassion towards the defilements. What happens if the mind moves too fast and it's difficult to establish the relationship we have with the object of mindfulness? This is just another little technique. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's just helpful. If you're getting pretty peaceful, then you can just create sort of the perception of this you watching and whatever else you're observing, saying it's the awful mind. What's between the two of these things? Because this you watching, awful mind is the object, to put kindness between those two. So you look at things with kindness. And it's not that hard to imagine that. It's just like putting glasses on and putting forgiveness, putting kindness, putting peace, or putting anger, trying to get rid of things. What is the relationship you have to what you're experiencing? And that actually, the relationship you have, what's in between us. The awfulness of the mind or the beauty of the mind has got nothing to do with actually the mind itself. It's what you put in between it. Which is why it's amazing what you can do. You can take something which is really awful, like my number 2 creation in the toilet, and you can see that's gorgeous and beautiful. So what should really be awful becomes something totally the opposite. I better get going. Got lots more talks here to go. Hello, nice to see you. Dear Ajahn, how are these done? How are these done and happen? Mind in mind, phenomena in phenomena. Okay, that is from the Satipatthana Sutta, and it is a very confusing mistranslation. And it became really clear to me when I, again, started reading all of this in the Pali and saw that this is just the idiomatic use of the Pali language. You watch the body, and some people translate body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, phenomena in phenomena. It doesn't mean that. The word is repeated 2 times, and literally it means body in body. Like literally, when it's a really heavy rainstorm, it means it's raining cats and dogs. But everybody knows when it's a big rainstorm, you don't see any cats falling down from the sky or dogs falling. It's just the idiom. And the idiom in Pali, if you're washing the dishes, the Pali would be you're dishwashing dishes. And if you're sweeping the paths, it would be path sweeping the path. It's actually a repetition there. which is, it's common in Pali. If you're nose scratching, you're nose scratching your nose. What else would you nose scratch? So in English it seems a bit weird, but the real translation is you're just watching the breath. Also you're just contemplating the body, or you're contemplating feelings. So when it says body in body, that's people who don't really know Pali. Okay, that's good. Are rebirth and reincarnation the same? If not, which one do we as the Buddhists believe in? It's only a slight difference there. So unless you're just a philosopher or you're teaching Buddhism in a university, they're pretty much the same. So reincarnation literally means that something gets reincarnated into your next life. And you can actually say that as a strict Buddhist, a stream of consciousness. But it's not a thing, it's a process. So some people say, well, reincarnation is more Hindu, like a soul goes from one life to another. Rebirth is more like a process, cause and effect. So the stream of consciousness going. So it's only a small thing. Hardly any difference at all. Dear Ajahn, since so many usual suspects can have some deep, deep Dharma talks, please. What do you think I've been given? So when people want deep Dharma talks, I can't sort of not give this little anecdote, because I think after a couple of years of going to the Singapore Buddhist Fellowship, the president there, he was a lawyer. One night, one afternoon, he said, Ajahn Brahm, yeah, we've heard all of these two bad bricks in the wall and opening the door of your heart, all these nice little anecdotes, but give some really deep stuff. And I did that for him. The next night, I gave this really deep talk, on, I think, Anatta or something. And then afterwards, it was a really powerful talk, because afterwards, the following morning, he picked me up to take me to breakfast, and he said, Ajahn Brahm, please never do that again. So I didn't sleep all night. And I appreciate that, because even the Buddha said that in the suttas. Sometimes when you really listen to a good talk, sometimes it does create some fear in you. He wasn't ready for those deep talks. People think they are, but they're not. So once you get some reasonably good meditation going, then you can give a deep talk and you can appreciate it without fear, without thinking in your mind, no, this is rubbish, it can't be true. So much in my life I thought could never be true, about Buddhism when I was young. It's only later on when you get some experiences and deep meditation, woof. What Ajahn Chah said, what the Buddha said was powerfully true. Here's one example. Of course, many of you heard this before. There's only 2 questions left, so I can give some examples. This was, this is a good example because it is relevant in some respects. That I mentioned this morning that if you can get some powerful inspiration up when you're meditating, your meditation is so much easier. So that's one of the reasons why that traditionally Buddhists maybe do some reflections on the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha or on their own goodness and the charity which they've done. So anything which inspires you and gives you this beautiful, wow, that's so beautiful, so gorgeous. And a good example of that, I told someone the other day, they asked, what's the biggest act of charity you've ever seen in your life? And the biggest act of charity which I've ever seen, and I still put this number 1, that I was in this monastery in Thailand. I was doing the duty of just sweeping the hall one day. And I was behind a cupboard sweeping, and I heard someone come into the hall, and it was not the time when people would usually visit. So first of all, I thought it might be a burglar. So very carefully, I just peeked. And I saw this young girl, maybe 13 or 14 years of age, and I recognized her from the village, because we always go on arms round to the same village. And she was, I'm not quite sure what mental deformity she had, but she couldn't speak. She looked just the same as everybody else, but she could not speak Thai language or any language except these series of grunts. And you've seen her before, that in village society, no one ever gets so stigmatized or rejected. She was always part of whatever happened. And her friends, the people she grew up with, what was amazing, they knew what every grunt meant, because they'd grown up with this girl. They could communicate with her. No one else in the whole world could probably communicate with this woman, because she was mentally not the same as others. But she was respected and not stigmatized. But she came into the hall by herself. And I saw her, I was just peeking, and she couldn't see me. She looked around, make sure that no one was around. She didn't see I was watching her. And she took a bit of paper, or put something, and put it on the shrine in front of the Buddha statue, and bowed 3 times, and then ran out as fast as she could. And I was really interested. What had she done? I put in front of the Buddha statue. And I went up there, make sure she was gone, so she didn't know that I was watching her. And then I saw she put this, she'd had some coloured paper and folded up a little lotus and did it as her personal offering to the Buddha statue there. And I had a look at it, and it was not the best origami in the world. And it looked at it, was very cheap and poor, but it was hers. And my eyes went watery, because you could understand why she put it up there. She thought that no way would any monk put something like that up there. It wasn't beautiful enough. And no one would let her put it up here. She had to sneak in to almost steal the opportunity to make an offering. She didn't have any money in her situation. She had nothing to offer but this little flower made out of paper, which she wanted to make an offering to the Buddha. And she was embarrassed to do it publicly, afraid it wouldn't be accepted, which is why she sneaked in. It's so hard for her to do that. And I thought, wow, that's the biggest act of generosity I've ever seen. I told all the monks about it afterwards. I said, if any of you touch that and try and throw it away because it doesn't look beautiful enough, you've got me to deal with. That's staying up there for a long time. And it did. Because the beauty of that offering. So that's, what was I talking about anyway? Well, it's about, oh yeah, deep Dhamma. To me, that's deep. So anyway, so sometimes you've got some inspiration. Oh, it's inspiration, that's it. At this particular time, Ajahn Chah came to the monastery. He used to come for a sauna. This is a sauna story. And Ajahn Chah would sometimes give really boring talks. Well, I'm sure it's the same with me. I give really boring talks sometimes, but sometimes you're really on song, and this occasion he really hit the spot, and he could put a couple of hours, no, maybe an hour's talk, and wow, it was just beautiful. I was so inspired afterwards. Oh, just how lucky to listen to such deep teachings. And it was in Thai, and I could understand Thai perfectly then. I was just blissing out on a beautiful talk. And so it's usually your job is to help the seniors, whatever they need. He was my teacher. I should have really gone to help him go to the sauna. But there's so many other monks were doing that, and I was so inspired. I thought, I'll let them do it this time, and I'll just go to the back of the hall and sit, cross my legs and meditate. It was just on the concrete of the hall, no cushions or anything. But I was very thin. I didn't have enough internal padding as I do these days. But it didn't really matter because it was just so beautiful talk, so inspired. You sat down and your body disappeared really quickly. It was really beautiful meditation for a couple of hours. And of course, as soon as you come out of a meditation, the main cause of that was the inspiration from this brilliant talk by your teacher. And you thought, I need to give something back to the teacher. So he just went towards the place where the sauna was, just really blissing out. And you could see that in my eyes, just a silly smile on my face. And of course, Ajahn Chah finished his sauna and was walking back to the car with the driver. And he saw me coming. And I couldn't turn around and go anywhere, so we're going to cross on the path, and he stopped right in front of me. And he looked, he knew I'd just come out of a really nice meditation. It was written all over my face, and this was a great teacher. He knew these things. So the next thing which happened, and I don't mind saying this because Ajahn Chah has passed away now, was that, he started reading my mind. And I was peaceful enough in my meditation. It's a strange experience, but I'm being honest with you. You could feel him inside, having a look around. And for once, as I often say, I didn't mind him coming inside to have a look. Hey, how many of you had a look in my cave today? Did you go there today? Oh, a few of you, yeah. So, I don't mind you looking in the cave. It's nice and tidy. There's nothing hidden there which is not supposed to be there. So, if you've got nothing to conceal, nothing to hide, and quite happy that you can see just where I live when I'm not over here, yeah, you can go inside, have a look. And that's the same feeling for Ajahn Chah going to have a check out my mind, because for once it was really pure and peaceful and joyful, and just after a good meditation, you just got no defilements in there for a while. Yeah, come and have a look. I was proud of my mind. Yeah, come on, teacher, come and have a look. And then when he came out afterwards, he obviously realized I had a deep meditation. And then he looked at me with his fierce eyes. They weren't sort of scary, but they were holding you. And said, Brahma Wangso, why? And it was one of those wonderful experiences I'll never forget. Brahma Wangso, why? And he was looking at me. And I answered him, I don't know. Nice meditation, but still stupid. And great teachers, when you have these interchanges, they never get angry at you. It was an amazing thing. He didn't sort of hit me or anything. He just started laughing. He just laughed his head off. But then he got serious again. He stopped laughing. And he looked at me again and said, Brahma Wangsa, I'll tell you the answer. The answer, if anyone asks you, he actually said, if anyone asks you this question again, this is the answer. And of course I was really interested in what the real answer was. And I was listening, and he said, the answer is, there's nothing. My, me, arai. There's nothing. And he looked at me, still hopeful, and his stupid student. Do you understand? He said, so much kindness. Do you understand, Khao Jai Mai? I said, yes. You know the story, what happened next? He said, no, you don't. And he walked away. Oh, I felt so down. All that inspiration disappeared. It was so true, though. Because, no, those deep dharmas, you can say it's not complicated explanation. There's nothing. Do you understand? Be honest. No, you don't. Pride might say, oh, yeah, I understand. No, you don't. And so some of those deep teachings, yeah, it's nice to give them, but are you ready for them? That was probably the deepest teaching I ever got from Ajahn Chah. I could repeat it many times. But do you really understand? I love walking meditation. Yeah, it's good. Could you please advise when is a good time to sit down? Is this when piti sukha arises and is firmly established? Thank you, teacher. May all be happy and well. Yeah, if you do get some piti sukha coming along, then yeah, just come in here and sit down. Firmly established, not firmly established, you can't really sort of say that, but you just trial and error, figure it out for yourself. But it's true, you get amazing that walking meditation can give you so much joy and happiness. Almost into deep meditation, which is one of the reasons when it starts really enjoy it first of all. Just enjoy the walking meditation, enjoy the Piti Sukha which comes up, and you're just going inside, and somebody you don't know the time, how long you've been walking, and you just feel just every sensation in your legs as it's moving, and you have some wonderful experiences. And then if you can ask, this is the best answer, ask your body and mind, do you want to carry on walking or do you want to go and sit down? And you know straight away what the answer is. And then follow that. Because sometimes the body and mind will say, I want to carry on. So carry on. Sometimes mind says, no, please sit me down. You sit yourself down and you keep that joy and happiness. You don't have to go to the beginnings of the meditation because you're already way ahead. It's just like a simile I gave years ago. If you get a piece of wood from the jungle, you have to saw it into the right length, and then you have to plane it, and then you have to polish it with sandpaper, and the rough, then the medium, then the fine, then rub it with a cloth to polish it to make a nice piece of wood for your shelf or something. But these days, if you get a piece of wood from the hardware shop, from Bunnings or somewhere, you don't need to go through all that fuss and bother. It's already pretty smooth. So you just get a cloth and polish it up. Just like sometimes if your mind is already really peaceful and blissing out and just so focused, you don't need to go for all the beginning type of meditations. You sit down and just go into nimitta straight away. And this is what happens. So if you've been walking meditation, made so much progress, you come and sit down and boom, 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 and you're already into reasonably deep meditation, you can take it deeper. The last question for this evening. We're not born into this world again. Where do you go? This is, you want a deep teaching, here we go. This is from Aggi Vacchagotta Sutta. And this, it's adapted, because the Buddha was talking about like wood fires, but I prefer using the simile of a candle flame. So you have a candle flame. Someone blows it out, or the wax is all used up, or the wick is all used up. Where does the flame go? And when the Buddha asked this of this Vacchagotta, he said, wait a minute, it doesn't go anywhere. Imagine if it was a very good flame. And it allowed you to read the suttas, it allowed you to come and go wherever you need to go. If it's a very good flame, surely it deserves to go to some heaven realm when it passes away, when it goes out. And bad flames, if it's like burned down your house or burned you, it should go to some hell realm where the flames could really be suffering. Does that make any sense to you? Not at all. Because what is a flame anyway? A flame is just a combination of three things: the wax, the wick, and the heat. When those three things come together, wax, wick, and heat, you get a flame. When any one of those things is taken away, any one of those three conditions or causes is removed, you blow the heat away, then the flame stops. It ceases. You know what in Pali the word is, the flame ceases? The word which was commonly used in Nibbanas. In Nibbanas. That's what the word Nibbana means. A flame going out. So any kid in the time of the Buddha, they would understand what Nibbana meant. It's used in daily life. And then from daily life, used to explain just what happens when enlightenment occurs and that being eventually dies. It goes out, vanishes. Poof. Gone. So we're not born into this world again, and just more than that, when you're fully enlightened, you don't go anywhere. You weren't here to begin with. You're just a flame. Conditions. Keep one thing causing another thing, which causes another thing, which causes another thing, which causes another thing. A conditional process, but empty of any solid core. Anatta. You wanted some deep teachings? Now you got one. Do you agree with that? Do you understand? No, you don't. There's nothing. Well, one nice interesting thing, just as I'm on the subject, to waste 2 minutes of time, is that the word anatta, now that's the Pali, I mean, no self, but in Sanskrit, the sense of self is called atma. So it's anatma. And what is atma anyway? When you actually look at the Sanskrit, which is, well, you have to give this, it's a purer form of the language, it so kind of reminded me of another word in Greek, which came into English, called atom. And what does atom actually mean? Atom is indivisible, not being able to be split up into things. And the atom was proposed as the essential building block of life, the core of stuff, the atom. Any New Zealanders here today? Anyone from New Zealand? Born in New Zealand? Don't be embarrassed about it or ashamed. I shouldn't say things like that. I'll get in trouble. No, there's the great physicist, Rutherford, who split the atom. And that was one of the wonderful things of doing physics at Cambridge. You got all these rooms. I said, this is the room where Rutherford split the atom. This is the room where J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. All this history in the place. It was fascinating. So as a young 18-year-old student going there, wow, you just see your eyes were wide. This was a history-making laboratories. But they tore that down, they moved to another place. So they should never have done that because the history there was brilliant, inspirational. But anyway, Rutherford split the atom. But 2,500 years earlier, the Buddha split the Atma. And those words, they have to be connected. The essential part of the human being, the Atma. And it's supposed to be indivisible because it's the essential part of it. And the atom, the essential part of matter, stuff. We found out, just people split the atom and as they split, what's left when you split the atom, and you get all these fundamental particles and quarks and bosons and leptons and stuff. But you can't find anything which is fundamental there, which is always there. It's just this process of these fundamental particles which make up the stuff of our universe, always interchanging, playing around one another. Just like the fundamental parts of you, the Atma. It's just a process. And it can stop. It can finish. Poof. Gone. So that's what happens. Gone. Nothing being destroyed, because there's nothing there to begin with. Just causes and conditions rolling on. Da, da, da. Okay, enough. So you wanted something deep, there we go. So don't ask again. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So have a good night if you wish. I've got in the habit of doing this in monastery. Whenever I wish people have a good night, I always add, if you wish. You don't have to, because I don't want to force you. It's wrong to force people, to control people. So if you you want to have a rotten night, fine by me. It's up to you. But I hope you prefer to have a good night.
What do I have to play with your company? Jana Grove, is that okay?